The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
I gotta tell you, John, it's Sunday morning in Queens. The sirens are screaming outside my window like they're trying to win an Olympic medal for most obnoxious sound, and I'm sitting here looking at a news cycle that is basically a giant, overflowing grease trap in the basement of American democracy.
Well, at least you have the sirens, Mary. I'm looking out at 40 acres of Catskills fog and a goat named Mitch, who is currently trying to eat my copy of the federal budget because he thinks it's more digestible as fiber than as policy.
Oh, honestly, the goat has the right idea. Look, we've got a busy show today, folks. It's April 12th, 2026, and we are unpacking a world that is vibrating apart. We've got an electoral earthquake in Hungary, a vibe collapse in the American psyche, and we're going deep, I mean really deep, on the 7th week of the war in Iran, where even the Pope is calling out the delusion of omnipotence in Washington.
Well, delusion. It's more like a full-blown hallucinogenic trip at this point. And look, yesterday we were talking about Representative Swalwell's career essentially evaporating after those sexual misconduct reports. Honestly, that campaign for governor is flatter than a pancake on a Sunday morning. And that absurd National Arch of Victory proposal.
Are you kidding me with that thing? A 250-foot arch in D.C.? It's like the DOP wants to play a game of croquet with the Washington Monument. It's digital snake oil in marble form.
It's performative architectural masturbation. But look, we got real work to do today. Where are we starting, Mary? You've been tapping that pen against the desk for 10 minutes and my internet connection is already nervous.
Let's start with the Department of Homeland Security because honestly, this is a plumbing disaster that's been leaking for 58 days now. 58 days of a partial government shutdown, the longest in history, and it's all over a standoff about basic human rights.
Right.
Look, here's the deal. This all goes back to late January in Minneapolis. Federal agents, specifically a CBP tactical unit, shot and killed 2 U.S. citizens, including a young protester named Alex Preddy. And for once, and I'm not gonna lie, it surprised me, the Senate Democrats actually held the line. They're refusing to fund DHS until they get body cams and stricter probable cause requirements for ICE detentions.
Right. They actually found a backbone in the couch cushions.
For now, but the House leadership, Mike Johnson and the Trump administration, they're laughing at them because of this thing called the One Big Beautiful Actor Bill, OBBAA, which honestly sounds like something my nephew Vector would name an AI that sells fake shoes. The enforcement agencies are actually doing just fine.
Wait, explain that. If the department is shut down, how are they fine?
Because OBBAA provided a mammoth pool of separate standalone funding for ICE and CBP through 2029. It's like the government shut off the water to the rest of the house but kept the high-pressure hose in the garage fully operational. The people suffering are the rank and file, the TSA agents working spring break for no pay, the disaster relief coordinators, while the tactical units are still out there doing executive workarounds.
So it's a phantom shutdown? It's a legislative constipation that only blocks the stuff we actually need, while the war on reality enforcement keeps getting fed by a secret battery pack in the basement.
Exactly. According to CBS News, the Senate passed a bipartisan off-ramp, but House leadership is treating it like a joke. They're more interested in pushing new voter ID requirements than making sure the people who guard the airports can pay their rent. Honestly, it's a game of chicken where the pedestrians are the ones getting hit.
It's the same thing with the economy, Mary. This vibe collapse people are talking about, it isn't just a mood, it's a structural failure.
Is that the scientific term for it? A vibe collapse?
I mean, look at the data. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index just hit 47.6. That is an all-time low, Mary. Lower than 2020, lower than the 2020 lockdowns. We are officially more miserable about the economy than we were when we were literally afraid to touch our mail.
Wow, that's actually impressive in a dark way.
And the catalyst? It's the double squeeze. Energy prices are skyrocketing because of the Iran conflict, shocker, and people are anticipating another 5% price hike in the next month alone. But here's the thing that gets me. Look at the geography of it.
Okay.
There's this massive gap between states that actually give a damn about social infrastructure and those that don't. Massachusetts and Minnesota, they're top in the charts for families, high job security, best public schools, lowest infant mortality.
Right, because they invest in people, not just ballrooms.
Exactly. While the national mood is in the sewer, you have these blueprints for success in blue states where, yeah, housing is expensive, like $700,000 for a house in Mass, but at least your kids have health insurance. Meanwhile, the rest of the country is being told that the American dream is just something they can't afford anymore because we need to fund more surgical strikes 5,000 miles away.
It's the great reversal I keep talking about. We're going back to 19th century energy and 19th century labor rights.
It's legislative edging, Mary. They keep telling us the recovery's coming. They keep teasing the one big beautiful bill, and nobody ever gets to finish. We're just stuck in this state of perpetual anxiety while they build a 90,000 square foot ballroom at the White House.
Oh, don't even get me started on the ballroom. They tore down the historic East Wing for a $400 million dance floor. I mean, are you kidding me with this? I can't even get my landlord to fix the radiator, and the president is building a disco for the apocalypse.
Well, it's all part of the loyalty reshuffle, Mary. You saw what happened with the Justice Department, right?
Oh, I saw it. Pam Bondi stepping down to go to the private sector, which is code for didn't move fast enough to arrest the president's enemies, and they replace her with Todd Blanche.
His personal defense attorney, the guy who defended him in Manhattan.
It's like I hired my bookie to be the head of the IRS. The firewall is gone, John. Blanche was at a press conference on the 7th, basically saying it's the president's right and duty to investigate former government officials. It's not a Justice Department anymore. It's a personal law firm with a badge.
And meanwhile, Justice Alito is in the hospital for dehydration, which at 76 is the DC word for we might have a vacancy.
If he retires now, before the 2026 midterms, they'll put someone in there who's 30 years old and thinks the Bill of Rights is a list of suggestions. Look what they just did with Chiles versus Salazar.
Right. The conversion therapy rule.
8-1. Gorsuch wrote the majority opinion saying that telling a kid they're broken and trying to change their identity is protected professional speech. It's viewpoint neutrality as a weapon. They're prioritizing the right of a quack to torture a child over the actual safety of the child. It's disgusting.
It's the shadow docket at work. No full briefing, no oral arguments, just ideological decrees from the bench. It's making the country a very, very small place for anyone who doesn't fit the mold.
Which is why the news out of Hungary this morning is so... Well, I don't want to say hopeful yet because I've been hurt before, but it's something.
Wait, did the polls finally open?
They're open right now, John, and for the first time in 16 years, Viktor Orban, the man who basically wrote the manual for how to dismantle a democracy, is in real trouble. The TISA party, led by Peter Magyar, has a double-digit lead in the polls.
Shut up. 48-30? That's not a lead. That's an eviction notice.
Exactly. And Peter Magyar is the ultimate insider turned whistleblower. He was married to the justice minister. He defected after Clemency Gate, that scandal where they pardoned a guy involved in child abuse. He's taking the system apart from the inside, and he might actually get a 2/3 supermajority.
But didn't J.D. Vance just go over there?
Oh yeah, last Tuesday, massive rally in Budapest. Vance and Orban standing there like the super friends of the far right. It's a summit of populism. Vance is basically signaling that Orban is the spiritual leader of the MAGA movement, no matter what happens in the election.
It's a global network of illiberal fortress building. Even if Orban loses, he has become a martyr for the national conservative cause.
It's frightening, John. And while we're talking about international disasters, look at the Easter truce in Ukraine, or rather the lack of one.
Total collapse. 2,299 violations by Russia in 24 hours. They hit an ambulance, Mary. An FPV drone strike on 3 medics in Sumy.
Unbelievable.
And then Moscow has the nerve to claim Ukraine violated the truce 2,000 times. It's the exact same gaslighting we see here. We had to hit that residential building because they were breaking the peace.
It's the war on reality, John. Every day is just another FPV drone strike on the truth.
And speaking of the truth, I think we need to address why we're even able to have this conversation.
You're right. Look, we're independent. We don't have a corporate board of directors breathing down our necks telling us not to talk about the OBBA or the Pope's delusion.
Exactly. Independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We're 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. He's not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations.
If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
It's an act of grit, John, just like this show. Now, we have to talk about the main event, the 7th week.
The 7th week of the war in Iran.
God, it feels like 70 years.
Look, here's the deal. This conflict started on February 28th. And as of today, Sunday, April 12th, the global fallout is moving from the battlefield to the moral stage. We've got these face-to-face negotiations in Islamabad. Vice President Vance is over there trying to broker a permanent ceasefire. But back at the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV just dropped a rhetorical nuclear bomb.
The delusion of omnipotence.
That's the phrase. He's the first U.S.-born pope, and he's basically telling the Trump administration they're acting like gods who forgot they're made of clay. He warned that this mindset, that military superiority equals moral authority, is becoming increasingly unpredictable and aggressive.
Right, and he specifically went after the religious rhetoric, didn't he?
He did. He didn't name him, but everyone knew he was talking about Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary. Hegseth has been all over cable news calling this a sacred struggle. He's been using the term Christian nation like he's trying to restart the Crusades.
God, it's the holy war branding. It's what I've been calling the performative masturbation of the Hawk Caucus. They're not just dropping bombs, they're trying to baptize them first.
Exactly. And the Pope is saying, no, stop it. You are dragging the name of God into a discourse of death. According to Global Nation, this is the most direct intervention by the Catholic Church in a U.S. military conflict since, well, maybe ever.
I mean, it's about time someone in a fancy hat said it, but Mary, it's not just the words in Rome. Look at what's happening in the streets in the U.S. and in Israel.
The Human Rights Watch report?
Yes, they just released a Q&A on the laws of war, and they're sounding the alarm on collective punishment. The Trump administration has started this horrific retaliatory crackdown where they are detaining and deporting the family members of historical Iranian figures.
Are you kidding me with this? You mean people who have lived here for decades?
Yes, if your grandfather was a figure in the Iranian government 30 years ago, you're now a target. They're grabbing people in Westwood, in Torongelis, in Great Neck, U.S. citizens' families, and treating them like enemy combatants. It's a genealogical purge.
Honestly, it's the plumbing of hate, John. They're clogging up the legal system with these cases to distract from the fact that the war is hitting a stalemate. They want us focused on the enemy within so we don't notice that gas is hitting $6 a gallon and we're no closer to a victory than we were in February.
Well, that's why the ceasefire in Islamabad is so fragile. According to the CBS Live updates, there was a major push to rescue Air Force pilots yesterday, and the power plants and bridges are still being targeted, despite the supposed humanitarian pause.
Because there is no pause for the people on the ground. It's all PR. It's all digital snake oil for the nightly news. Hegseth wants a crusade. The military-industrial complex wants the OBBA funding to keep flowing. And the families in Queens and the Catskills are the ones stuck with the bill.
It's the national edging session, Mary. We're being teased with peace, but we're being fed a diet of war and religious fervor. It's biological rejection at a national scale. Our bodies, our economy, our social fabric, they're rejecting this conflict, and the government's response is just to turn up the volume and build a bigger ballroom.
Honestly, I've seen some chaotic tennis matches in my time, John, but this is like playing a match in a hurricane while the umpire's busy selling the rackets for scrap metal.
That's the Queen's metaphor of the week right there.
I do what I can. Look, that's our show for today. It's a mess, but we're still here and we're still holding the line.
Stay safe. Stay skeptical, and for the love of everything holy, if a man in a heather gray hoodie tries to sell you an arch of victory, tell him you already have a goat.
Exactly. We'll be back tomorrow to see if the world is still in one piece. Until then, keep your eyes open